Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. My name is Khushi Kishore and today we are starting a much needed reading vlog. Now, hear me out. 2024 is almost over. I technically still haven't finished all my priority reads for 2024. In this video, we're going to be reading a couple of popular 2024 releases, books that I have been meaning to catch up on, books that I've been meaning to read for a very long time. I'm actually super excited to do this because one, I want to get back into my reading groove, and two, I've just been sort of blankly staring and blinking at people when they try to talk to me about specific books that have come out this year because have not been part of the conversation. How would I be when I haven't read it? Procrastination. It's a fun place to be. Let's just dive right into it. The first book I'm thinking of reading for this vlog is Not in Love by Ali Hazelwood. Now, this is one of her recent releases. I think it's her most recent release. For those of you who've been here since the beginning of this channel, you probably know that I have an on-again, off-again relationship with Miss Hazelwood. Love Hypothesis, I loved it when I read it. In hindsight, it wasn't all that I made it out to be the first time I read it. Love Theoretically was really nice. It was just missing just a little bit of something in there to make me fully go crazy over it. Then there was Bride, which, now see, I'm an OG werewolf girly. I grew up on Wattpad werewolf romances, so I had high expectations, and maybe I just did myself in by having those expectations because while the book was good and I had a fun time with it, it didn't give me everything I wanted from it. And then the certain moments in the smut, if you know what I'm talking about, you probably know, I just wasn't for me. I don't think I'm a monster romance girly at all. And then Check and Mate, which is her YA release. Absolutely loved it. Like, close my eyes, blindly, happily. I will any day, every day give you a 5-star. Loved it. So I am curious. I'm desperately in need of a rom-com in my life, so I am hoping this does the trick. So, Rue Sibbert might not have it all, but she has enough. A few friends she can always count on, the financial stability she yearned for as a kid, and a successful career as a biotech engineer at Klein, one of the most promising startups in the field of food science. Her world is stable, pleasant, and hard-fought until a hostile takeover and its offensively attractive frontman threatens to bring it all crumbling down. Of course. Eli Kilgore. Okay, I've never heard that surname before. Eli Kilgore and his business partners want plan, period. Eli has his own reasons for pushing this deal through, and he's a man who gets what he wants, with one burning exception, Rue. Torn between loyalty and an undeniable attraction, Rue and Eli throw caution out the lab and the boardroom windows. Their affair is secret, no strings attached, and has a built-in deadline, the day one of their companies will prevail. But the heart is risky business, one that plays for keeps. Of course it is. It sounds fun, which is what I'm looking for, so I'll keep you updated. So the main guy, he has a developed game of chess going on with his sister, and the board is on the dining table, and the girl sees it and she's like, "Oh, you play?" And he's like, "Yeah, a little bit. I'm not Nolan Sawyer level good or anything." And if you've read Check and Mate, I just appreciate that inclusion. I appreciate the worlds mixing, because Nolan Sawyer is the main character from Check and Mate, and I really like Check and Mate, so that made me very happy. It's quite a few hours later, and I wanted to come on here and update you guys because I have finished Not in Love by Ali Hazelwood. It only took me like half a day, which is not a bad thing because in true Ali Hazelwood style, she's kept it very easy to read, very easy to get through, just very readable. I will tell you proper thoughts and feelings when I sit down to review all the books I've read in this video. But now we're moving on to the next one. Now this next one I have already started and read almost about half of it. But I've been a little stuck and not been able to pick this one up in the last few days. As per the theme of this video, this one also came out in 2024. It was longlisted for the Booker Prize. I've seen a lot of people review it, a lot of people talk about it. It is Headshot by Rita Bullwinkle. It is basically about these 8 teenage boxers who are the best at what they do in the United States, and their story is basically told through these face-offs that happen in the tournament they are in at the moment. I used to compete in swimming when I was younger, so I have always had this interest towards knowing the stories of other competitive sports people and just how, like, what brought them into it, what drives them. I love watching that stuff. I really love my sports movies. And I haven't read as many books about that kind of stuff, which I find very surprising. I've already read the first 2 matches. I believe there will be 2 more matches and then a semi-finals and a finals. For those of you who want a more exact synopsis, Headshot is the story of the 8 best teenage girl boxers in the United States, told over the 2 days of a championship tournament and structured as a series of face-offs. As the girls' pasts and futures collide, the specific joy and violence of the sport comes to life with electric energy, and a portrait emerges of the desire, envy, perfectionism, madness, and sheer physical pleasure that motivates each of these young women to fight. See, I'm not expecting to finish the book tonight, but then again, it's not a complicated read, and if I can get into the groove of it, then there is a chance it might happen, which would also be very nice. We'll see how it goes. Okay, I need to quickly tell you what's up. I've been reading Phantasma by Kaylee Smith and I have hit 56%. And I am only now coming to tell you what this book is about because there's no real reason, honestly. I got lazy, I forgot to vlog, and I was just reading in the hopes and dreams that this would be my book of the year because for some reason I'm getting antsy about the fact that I haven't read those many great books this year. I mean, I haven't given a lot of thought to this, but I'm also very aware of the fact that I have read comparatively less this year because of all my traveling. And I don't feel like I have found the book, like my top book of the year yet. If I were to sit down to make a top 5 of 2024 list, I genuinely do not know what would go on there, aside from Grandmaster Demonic Cultivation. So anyway, I was reading with hopes and dreams and stars in my eyes. And I was reading Phantasma by Kaylee Smith. Now, what is this book about? The way I have heard it being pitched is Carabao meets Throne of the Fallen, neither of which I have read, so I really can't vouch for that. What I can tell you is there is a deadly competition, there is magic, there is a dark, violent house that basically is a being of its own. We have ghosts, we have demons, devils, phantoms. Our main character is a necromancer. The story basically starts with her and her sister finding their mother dead, but they don't really have the time to grieve because She inherits her mother's necromancer magic and an insane amount of debt that she had no idea about. Her sister is like, I will solve this by joining a death competition, Phantasma, which is essentially just a field for people to die, where people compete in this creepy manner that sets up challenges similar to the 9 circles of hell, and the winner gets one wish granted to them. And our main character, Ophelia, follows her sister into this competition to protect her and save her and bring her out of it. While she happens to be in there, there are a lot of mysteries that are waiting to be uncovered, and there also happens to be this phantom called Blackwell, who is arrogant, who is witty, who is charming, and who seems to be as attracted to her as she's attracted to him, even though that is something that is not very safe in Phantasma. He makes a bargain to help her if she helps him with something he desperately requires. And yeah, that's where we are. I have finished 4 of the challenges. She's through 4 circles of hell, and I see, I don't think it's a very good sign when every time the main character opens their mouth, you feel an undercurrent of, I'm not really sure if I like her. Like, you know what I mean? I'm not sure I like the main character very much. And I'm also starting to realize that this story does have a lot of plot holes. I don't think it's gonna be one of my favorites this year, unfortunately. I'll still finish it. I'm still very curious about certain things in the story, but I also think I've figured out most of it. I just want to see if I'm right. I don't think I'm gonna be picking up another book tonight. I think I might just finish this and go to sleep. But tomorrow morning, we will be picking up a new book, which excites me because we have a good collection to select from. So there is an unsaid rule within the reading community, right? And this rule is specific to standalone series. Like, I don't really know what else to call them, but like the Twisted series by Anna Huang, the Billionaire one by Lauren Asher, the Chestnut Springs series. Essentially, it's a series where you're following different romances between couples, but these couples are sort of somehow related to each other. Either they're siblings, or they're from the same friend group, or they're from the same town. So they sort of appear in each other's books a little bit. But aside from that, and the few spoilers you could potentially get about who is with who, you can read the books within these series as standalones or in an order you prefer. It can be done, okay? But the unsaid rule in this community is that when it comes to a series like that, we will read it in publication order, regardless of anything and everything. Sometimes, even if we don't particularly want to read that book, we will read it just so that we can read the second or third book we really want to read. Anyway, so I am fully aware of the crime I'm committing by doing this. And by this, I mean reading book 4 in the Love Light Farm series before reading any of the others. I'm a very aware offender. I have started annotating Business Casual. Before y'all judge me, just keep in mind that I really wasn't planning to read Love Light Farms or this series. For some reason, I don't gravitate that strongly towards small town romances. I don't know why. But recently, I saw Bella from Throne of Pages absolutely going ham about Business Casual, and that she was doing a reread and she was annotating it, and it just made her feel so good at a very mentally blah period of her life. And I am going through a mentally blah period of my life, and I needed that joy. So I was at a bookstore, I saw it, I remembered her, and I got it. I am about 115 pages through, and I am really enjoying it. A buttoned-up chino-wearing corporate man, an untamable tattoo artist who's easily distracted, a small town of meddling friends, and enough tension to set both their hearts on fire. Charlie Milford is a betting man. He has to be in his line of work. He knows when to play it close to his chest and when to go all in. Nova Porter is about to expand her homegrown tattoo business and doesn't have time for distractions. Charlie is definitely a distraction. She suggests one night, no strings, to get their inconvenient attraction out of their systems. Too bad it doesn't work out as planned. If anything, their explosive night together leaves her wanting more. I recently set up the camera while I was reading to see if I can catch some reactions for a reel or something. I wasn't that hopeful, but the way this book came through, if y'all don't follow me on Instagram, I'll leave my handle here and down below in the description box, but you should go watch the reel. It brings me so much joy. Any romance reader watching that reel will feel me. I know that for a fact. This. Business Casual by B.K. Borison, author of the Love Light Farm series, is exactly what I needed in life right now. I have finished it and I have annotated it. If you can see, look at all the tabs. My God, let me give you a close-up shot right there. Ooh, pretty, pretty, pretty. Guys, I had so much fun with this. The characters, the chemistry, even the small town aspect of it. Like, I'm not the biggest small town romance person, but somehow it worked so well for me with this book. Enough that I'm considering picking up another novel from the series. I'm very interested in Beckett and Evie, who is the main character, Nova's older brother. So I might pick up his book next. I love the way B.K. Borison has portrayed these characters and their inner thoughts, and the fact that we really get to see them in their element and in their heads, which is something I really enjoy. We get to see all that turmoil. If you want a cute small town romance with really good chemistry, with neurodivergent representation, with a tattoo artist in her element who really loves what she does, and you're seeing her talk about tattooing and art and just her thing as she starts up a new studio. It's all so cool, and the family dynamics in this are also very cute. 4.5, like it was really good. It was such a good time. I'm thinking I'll read one more book for this, but I'm not sure what it's gonna be, so I'll update you when I know. All right, I am due to go to the airport in like 15 minutes. So we are on a time crunch here. But let's talk about the books I read in this video. The first book I read was Not in Love by Ali Hazelwood. So Miss Hazelwood is notorious for writing these big men who end up meeting girl and fall hard and fast, left, right, and center for girl. She does that pathetic, super sweet, I yearn for you kind of men really well, so that's really fun. And I have read most of her main novels, I believe, except for Love on the Brain, and I think I've come to realize that while Ali Hazelwood's work isn't like 5-star stuff for me always, most of the time it's not that I would give her books 5 stars or that I absolutely love them. I still very much enjoy them. I find them quick, I find them fun, and it's like popcorn. Yeah, I think that's my relationship with Ali Hazelwood. My favorite by her is still Check and Mate, and before I started Not in Love, I was really hoping that Not in Love would dethrone Checkmate. Not for any particular reason, I just wanted a really good book. It didn't, but that's very much okay because I still had a decent time reading this. So as I mentioned before, in this we follow Rue and Eli, and we see them deal with this intense attraction for each other from the very get-go, which is only made more complicated by their current work situation. Because technically they're on opposite sides of, well, I guess a company takeover, and meanwhile they can't keep their eyes off each other, they can't keep their hands off each other, and they're struggling with all these feelings because it's all very foreign to them, this sense of connection, this sense of comfort that they're finding in each other. These are two people who are not used to, well, who are used to connecting with people in a very specific manner, but what they're finding with each other is very different from what they normally do. I had a decent time. I'd probably give it 3 stars. After that, we finished a book that I had already started before I had started vlogging for this video. We finished Headshot by Rita Bulvinko. I don't think I've ever read anything like this book. It's definitely outside my normal realm of reading, if you know the kind of stuff I read. It's sports fiction, like contemporary literary sports fiction. Is sports fiction a thing? Can I just call it that? But yes, it's sports fiction about these 8 girls, and we get to know about their lives, their dreams, their motivations, their desires, all through the structure of a boxing tournament. The author has a very clear writing style, and there were these lines and some of these moments in the book that had me backtracking and rereading because the visuals and just that moment in itself was so cool and written so well. Sometimes the language and the writing in this book really did hit, and I'm not trying to make a joke here. I understand the pun, I do, because boxing hit, you know, just it makes me giggle. But it really did hit at some points. Some of these moments with these girls who so badly want to be the best at what they do, or at anything, at something, and they want to leave their mark, and they want to be known and recognized for what their bodies are capable of. I found myself resonating with it at some points, and the language used to describe it all was so very vivid and cool. It was a very interesting read, but I will say, I don't think I was completely invested in it throughout, though. I am happy to have experienced what this book had to offer, but I'm not really sure at this point that this is a book that I would want to reread. I just don't know if I'd end up picking it up again, which is okay. Not every book has to be that way. Moving on to the third book I read, which was Phantasma by Kaylee Smith on my Kindle. Now, I think it's a little bit of a crime, like a small crime, that I have read this book before I read Carabao by Stephanie Garber. And I'm saying this because this was one of my first thoughts as soon as I finished this book. But hey, that's okay, because you know what? Phantasma has just made me want to pick up Carabao even more now, because I really want, and I'm not saying this to be mean, but I really want to read this premise done better. It has all the things I like in fantasy, and I would want to see this premise done in a way where it could be a 4 or 5 stars for me, which unfortunately Phantasma was not. I will say this though, in the beginning I was so interested. The start was so cool, the bones were there was a strong foundation. We have this interesting character going through a difficult situation. It starts off dark and violent and dangerous, and you have this atmosphere being set already. The main character also has like this obsessive compulsive thing that she struggles with. It possibly could even be a dark entity within her. We don't really know. It's the beginning of the book, but it is there. There is something within her that manifests as obsessive compulsive behavior. And I was so excited to see where that plotline was going to go, or what the author was going to do with that, because it was so sinister and cool the way it was written in the beginning. Unfortunately though, as I read a bigger chunk of the book, as I read further, I was starting to realize that the plot holes, certain plot choices the author had made, and my personal feelings towards the main character was just taking away from that start for me. And maybe the writing in this book just wasn't for me. I didn't find myself enjoying it very much after a certain point. It just didn't do it for me. It didn't take me there, you know? If that even makes sense. So yeah, unfortunately, Phantasma didn't do for me what it did for some of y'all, but that's perfectly fine. A little bit sad, but that's okay. It had its entertaining bits. The ending definitely though, like, the ending is the kind of ending that makes you want to pick up the second book. I don't think I will, but when I finished the book, I was very tempted. I was a little bit like, "Ah, why don't I just read the second book just to see how things go down after this?" But I don't think I will. Then we read what is possibly my favorite book from this video. That is Business Casual by B.K. Borison. I also annotated it and she looks so pretty. You guys saw me. You saw how happy I was when I updated you when I finished this book. Just Charlie, being in Charlie's head, I really liked it. Charlie, our male main character, our romantic male lead, I guess. But yeah, I was literally kicking my feet giggling at some points, which is the mark of a great rom-com for me. It truly was a really sweet, really cute small town romance, and I would definitely recommend it to people. To keep it brief and precise, but also give you everything you would want to know, I will talk about the things I really liked in this book. First things first, I love that it was a dual POV because I will be so honest with you, a good duo POV in a rom-com does something to me. It does. I love knowing what's going on in their minds. I love knowing what both of them are thinking of each other. And it's so cool. We also got really nice neurodivergent representation here. And it really made me feel seen, which is really cool when you see a piece of yourself in a character in a book that you're really enjoying. I feel like that's very rewarding. I was relating with Charlie Boy left, right, and center. Every time he was talking about the noise in his head or his brain being overcrowded by thoughts or this constant need to keep doing things and not being able to stop himself from overworking himself almost, and the people pleasing, and just this restlessness and this inability to process when his brain becomes too much. Like, I get all of it, and I was happy to see it in this book. Interestingly enough, usually when I read a rom-com, I end up relating to one of the main characters and I attach myself to them a bit more. But surprisingly, in Business Casual, I was seeing myself in both of these characters. So with Nova, it was the professional stuff that was really getting to me. The pressure she puts on herself to achieve her dreams and the things she's been wanting to do for a while, and how she's tirelessly pushing herself, constantly pressuring herself mentally to be worthy of the pride and love her friends and family direct towards her. It was like looking into a mirror at some points. I think that just made for a really wonderful reading experience for me. And seeing the chemistry these two characters shared, the acts of service, oof, like what these characters do for each other and give each other, that they probably really needed someone to give them at that point in their life. It was so awesome to read. I really enjoyed it. I'm also very happy about the fact that the third act conflict was not miscommunication. So if you're fed up of miscommunication, third act breakups, stuff like that, read Business Casual. And finally, the last of the books we read in this video was The Answer Is No by Frederick Bachman, which is a short story. And it is a little stupid, very silly, and quite literally about a pile of garbage. And I'm not joking when I say that. It is about this very happy man, Lucas, whose life essentially gets ruined by this pile of garbage. Quite literally, we follow Lucas, our main character, who loves being by himself. He thinks the easiest way to be happy in life is just to avoid human beings. He doesn't want that responsibility, that connection, that expectation, just none of it. So Lucas likes being alone and he thinks that's the best way to be happy in life. And then one day, this frying pan is left where it shouldn't have been left, and the board of this building, this little society, is out on the hunt, investigating to try and find out who left it there. As the days progress, that frying pan eventually turns into a huge pile of garbage, and because of that pile of garbage, Lucas keeps getting interrupted in life. while he's eating his pad thai, while he's playing his video games, because people keep coming up to him to try and figure this stuff out. That is the story. It is smart, it is silly. Bachman is so humorous about his observations of human beings and their tendencies and the way we behave. And I loved it. I had such a good time with it. The characters very much feel caricaturized. Is that a word? Caricaturized, like caricatures, like literal cartoon characters. And this whole story just feels like a comedic sketch. It's like 68 pages of absolute ridiculous whimsical stuff, and the writing is fun and smart. And this is my second Bachman read, and once again, I'm not surprised. I definitely want to read more by him. I also like the fact that this story is literally about an introvert who faces out of the ordinary circumstances but still gets to be who he is by the end of the story, just slightly changed. I would definitely recommend it. Yeah. Those are my books that I read in this video. Thank you so much for sticking around till now. If you have, you guys are absolute stars. And the band has started playing again, and I might cry. But you know what to do. Tell me what you've been up to. Tell me what your 2025 reading goals are down in the comments. Like, subscribe, join the family. We have fun over here. Sometimes I am racing against the band. Oh my god. I love you all. Thank you so much. I am gonna say sayonara now. Stay safe, stay healthy, stay happy, and I'll see you very soon in the next one. Bye.